Welcome to this Whole Life Action Hour on mobility, breath, and circulation for optimal wellness. I'm certified nutrition specialist Rosie Mackay, your host for today. Are you ready to support your health from the inside out through simple practices that bring more ease, energy, and vitality to your day? In today's interview, I'll be joined by Nichole Dandrea-Russert, a registered dietitian nutritionist, yoga practitioner, and expert in plant-based wellness, to explore how movement and breathwork can play a powerful role in your overall well-being. We'll talk about how to enhance circulation, regulate the nervous system, and create more calm and clarity using accessible mobility techniques. You'll also learn how intentional movement and conscious breathing can work together to elevate your energy, focus, and resilience. This session is a part of Whole Life Club, Food Revolution Network's ongoing community membership. Some of the questions I'll be asking today come directly from our members. And as always, this conversation is not medical advice, so please consult a qualified healthcare practitioner for personal guidance. Now let me introduce the beloved Nichole Dandrea-Russert. Nichole Dandrea-Russert is a plant-based dietitian, author, yoga instructor, breathwork facilitator, and blogger at purelyplanted.com. Her focus is plant-based eating for the body, mind, and health of the planet, and she specializes in food for mood, sleep, and hormone balance. She's the author of The Fiber Effect, Stop Counting Calories and Start Counting Fiber for Better Health, The Vegan Athlete's Nutrition Handbook, The Essential Guide for Plant-Based Performance, and co-author with Ocean Robbins of Real Superfoods Cookbook and Powered by Plants Cookbook. She's a nutrition spokesperson for the Weather Channel's AM, HQ, and Pattern, and has been featured in Eating Well, Women's Health, Yoga Journal, Forbes, and Business Insider. So without further ado, welcome, Nichole.
Thanks, Rosie. So happy to be here with you today.
So happy to have you here and in a different spot than our members are used to seeing you on these Action Hour calls. So we're so excited to have you as the interviewee for today.
Thank you. It feels funny being on the side, but also exciting. So I'm really excited about today's topic.
So am I. And I know we're going to learn a ton, but before we dive in, since we do know you as our community dietitian, I'd love to hear a bit about your background as a 26-year yoga practitioner and how that journey has influenced your approach to health and wellness.
Yeah, thanks for the question. And thanks again for having me. Yeah, so, I've always felt like food is such a big foundation in fueling our bodies. I mean, it is. We know that. It's really a big pillar of health, but there's so much more. We know if we ever reference the wellness wheel, there's financial, there's social, there are stress management techniques. There's so much involved in overall wellness. So I really have personally always taken a holistic approach to wellness, and that is translated into my professional practice as well. So I think it's so important for folks to help like guide folks into using plant-based foods as a foundation for their health, but also to add other modalities. And personally, I've come from a family of big exercisers, so I'm grateful to have had that like in my system growing up. We have always worked out and moved, and my parents have really facilitated these habits into me, and I'm very thankful for that. But it was always like a go and a push and like work out and run and do. It was a set goal, either strength training or running or which is great. We want those things. But I found yoga and breath work and our topic for today through a running injury because I was just going all the time. And there was an injury that made me pause, it made me stop, and it brought me to yoga. And a common thing I hear from clients and from just general conversations with people who may be interested in practicing yoga, but they have this barrier like, oh, I'm too tight, I can't do it. I was the definition of tight when I went into yoga, and I still really have to do it daily to maintain any kind of flexibility. But because I was running so much and always in that contraction mode, it led me to yoga. It led to an injury, which led me to yoga, and I was so grateful to get into that space because it was practice and practice and practice to unravel so much, just not from a physical level, but also from a mental level. So I found such benefit in both the physical and the mental aspect. But I just wanted to encourage anyone who thinks, oh, I'm too tight and yoga hurts. It hurt me. It still hurts, to do it. I've been doing it since 1999. It's a practice, and we have to be gentle with ourselves. And I think it's a lesson in life. Whatever we practice on our mat can be translated into life, just to be gentle and to move maybe, again, gently in, like, out of our comfort zone, but also not to the point where we're injuring ourselves, but just like a little bit of discomfort to push us into a growth phase. But not too much. It's like a little bit of a balance. So I feel like it can be translated off. So yeah, so that's what led me to yoga. And I love to incorporate it into um, my clients' goals and lifestyle habits whenever we meet about food and nutrition.
Yeah, and thank you so much for sharing that. You painted a really vivid picture, and I think anybody watching this can find a piece of themselves in that if they're not necessarily an athlete or somebody that grew up training. Just the fact that we're always constricted, right? Because we've become a society of chronic sitters. We don't take that time to release and to be more flexible. So I think that this is going to be a really helpful conversation for all of us because we do need to learn how to incorporate some more gentle mobility. So, on that,
Yeah.
how does gentle mobility help to improve circulation and regulate the nervous system on a physiological level?
Yeah. Right. And I mentioned yoga, of course, it could be any kind of gentle movement. Tai Chi, it could be a gentle walk, a walk in the evening after dinner, a slow walk, and just to move your body in any way that feels good to you can be considered gentle movement, and intentional movement. So the way that it works from a circulation perspective is when you move your body, you're moving, especially if you're moving your legs or even your upper body, whichever you choose to move, you're engaging your muscles in a way that's constricting the blood vessels that are like pressing those blood vessels to push blood throughout the body. So you're increasing your circulation by getting your muscles moving, which is pushing your blood through to your tissues, back to your heart. So you're getting oxygenation, you're getting the nutrient delivery, especially when that's paired with healthy, whole foods, and you're getting those nutrients, so you're able to distribute those nutrients to your tissues better when you move your body. You can also increase nitric oxide production through some gentle movement, which can help to dilate blood vessels and relax your blood vessels so that you get better circulation. So all of this translates to you could lower your blood pressure, delivering nutrients and oxygen through your blood and to your tissues. So that's really important. Now, when you pair movement, slow movement, and intentional movement with intentional breathing, so as you're walking or as you're stretching or practicing yoga or practicing Tai Chi, you are conscious of your breath and inhaling and exhaling with your movements. Not only does this help to physiologically aid in that circulation, it's relaxing, it engages your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest, side it versus your fight or flight side. So this is your relaxation, the relaxation part of your nervous system. That also helps to facilitate dilated blood vessels and lowering the blood pressure and lowering your heart rate to a healthy, not racing and in your flight mode. So it really helps to complement your physical movement when you're breathing from what's called diaphragmatic breathing. When you take a deep breath in and your belly is like a balloon and extends, and then you exhale out, that activates your parasympathetic nervous system. So this just helps your body to relax in that state to enhance all of those physiological benefits even more.
That's amazing. And I love the explanation of the diaphragmatic breathing. That can sometimes feel like a challenge to know if you're doing it correctly. So, you noting that when you take that deep inhale, your belly kind of expands like a balloon and you're filling your body up with all of that really important oxygen to help with that
Yeah.
circulation. And so, with that, are there a few signs that someone's circulatory or nervous system might benefit from simple movement or breathing practices?
Sure. Yeah. As I mentioned in my own example, I was always in go mode and I was constricted, and that led to an injury. Obviously, if you feel you're in that state and you're not slowing down, that just listening to your body and breath work can really help you tune into your body to notice those signs. But also other physical signs of circulation, cold hands and feet, painful joints,
Mm,
swelling. Some of those things can indicate that maybe you need a little bit more mobility. And it can, again, be very gentle. It doesn't have to be intense exercise like we're often told to do, which can be complementary. But also in this case, if you're really feeling stiff, and you're noticing that you need some circulation, just some walking can sometimes do the trick, because you're using your large muscle groups to increase blood flow throughout your entire body, or sitting in a chair and inhaling your arms over your head and exhaling, something simple and accessible. And then from a nervous system perspective, we've all felt this. We've all felt the fight or flight reaction where our heart rate increases and we're feeling tense and we have really shallow breathing, and our focus, our mental clarity just isn't there. You can't think of the words. You're struggling to find your thoughts. This can, all of these symptoms can be a result of stress, which activates the sympathetic nervous system, which is that fight or flight response. And that can absolutely, recognizing those signs of stress, whatever, and it can manifest in many different ways, but those are just some of the ways in which you might see it. So just honestly, the first step is just to be present and aware and take a pause to um, tune in to your body and let you, it's telling you the symptoms, it's telling you maybe what you need. But so oftentimes we don't stop, as you mentioned, we don't stop to listen. So if we just take a moment to listen in the busyness of life around us, we can achieve what's needed. And it doesn't have to be extensive. Like I said, it could be a 5 to 10 minute walk paired with conscious breathing, and that can often do the trick.
yes. Walking is such a good way to make yourself become more present and aware of some of the cues that are going on in your body. And I know I'm in fight or flight often. It may have happened right before we started this interview. And I did have to take a pause and just a breath to come back to focus and center and allow myself to come into this space. So that is such a great, quick, easy thing you can do anywhere you are, whether you're in your house, you're at the grocery store, you're hanging out with your grandkids. But with
Right.
walking, I know I've heard that that can be really helpful for activating the vagus nerve. And I'm wondering, is there a connection between breath work and the vagus nerve activation and how that impacts circulatory health?
Yeah, absolutely. So the vagus nerve, our longest nerve, it runs from our brainstem through our digestive system, and it passes all of these areas, getting down to the end of our digestive system. So our heart, our lungs, the vagus nerve is involved with everything from our heart rate to our breath to our digestion. So, and there's a gut, we talk so much here at Food Revolution Network about the gut brain axis. It runs along that gut brain axis. So there is a communication network that happens along that vagus nerve between the gut and the brain. So there are several ways in which the vagus nerve can affect the nervous system. So as I mentioned, the diaphragmatic breathing, just starting with a simple breath. It could be a sigh. We all do this naturally without even thinking about it. If you're stressed or you're running around, whether it's physical stress or mental stress, you're like, or if you just, after you're done with that stressful situation, you sit, you just want to take a big sigh. This is your body's natural response to, like, okay, just let it out. Let's activate the part of your nervous system, the parasympathetic side, that will help you get into rest and digest. So this helps your body just get into a state, again, back to the circulation. it relaxes your digestive system, it relaxes your blood vessels, your blood can flow more freely. It helps with that vasoconstriction. So your blood is flowing more freely, which helps to lower your blood pressure, get your heart rate back down to a normal level. And overall, like this contributes to overall better circulation in general with your whole body when you, again, like pairing that with movement and just continuing that rest and digest state. So you can continue with breath work. You can just do things that are soothing to your soul. So just, get whatever helps you to relax in that state. So the other thing is that when you get into that rest and digest state, you open up these channels between the gut and the brain that help with cognition. So there's research to support that breath work can also help with cognition. So we have blood flow going to our brain, we have blood flow going through to our digestive system and going to our extremities. So in so many ways, breath work can help so many various physiological areas in our body. So between digestion, our brain health, increasing the blood flow can help to increase our neurotransmitters that facilitate those feel good feelings. It can help with memory and having clarity. Again, you notice a difference when you are in that stress response. It's really hard to focus. It's really hard to think of what you want to say. You know the word, but you can't think of the word that you know it's there. It's on the tip of my tongue, but you can't get it out. The breath work helps to open up these channels. So it engages that other side of your nervous system that is going to help to open up these channels and help you think more clearly and engage your memory and engage your focus. And then again, with the circulation component, increasing your blood flow is going to help to nurture all of your tissues and your organs and decrease inflammation. So there's so many physiological benefits from a simple breath. So it can be anything from a sigh or a few sighs throughout your day, what I just mentioned, to a more structured breathwork practice, box breathing, where you inhale for a count of, you pick your number, just starting, inhale for a count of 4, hold for a couple of breaths, exhale for a count of 4, hold for a couple of breaths. And we can go through a practice and a little bit. I think we're going to maybe do a little mini practice, but just to give you some examples, like it could be various exercises, breathwork exercises that help you feel that sense of calm.
That was amazing. And yes, looking forward to the breathwork practice coming up. But you did say something really interesting that I think a lot of people would find helpful when you mentioned that rest and digest, and then also how that helps with blood flow. And it made me think about our actual digestion. So, how does gentle movement and breathwork support digestion? And when would be the best time to move for digestion?
Yeah, so there's research supporting walking after a meal. Walking can help, again, get into that rest and digest state and increase the blood flow, including to digestion. And the research shows that our gastric emptying can happen more efficiently, or just like the flow of digestion can be more efficient when we walk after a meal. A nice walk, not we don't want to do super strenuous movement because that actually takes the blood flow away from digestion. But just a nice 10 to 15-minute walk after we eat can be very beneficial. And that, may happen at night. It could be after lunch. If you want to increase circulation in the morning, that might look a little different. Again, a nice walk could definitely do the trick in increasing circulation. But you can also do some gentle stretching. You can incorporate some yoga and some breath work. Breath work is a really wonderful practice to open up that gut brain channel that I was just talking about in the morning, just to it can be stimulating. It can also be relaxing. So there's breath work that can kind of energize you, and there's breath work that can get you into a calm, grounded state. So maybe even a combination of the two to wake you up in the morning and then also get you grounded so that you're ready to take on the day and face whatever is coming your way from a grounded place can be very beneficial. So yeah, so digestion, it's interesting because we know, like, if we want to, we're often told to, exercise, strength train, go for a bike ride, go for a run, or do, a class, participate in a class. Those are all wonderful, but what really works for digestion when it comes to exercise is the more slow and gentle approaches.
Mm-hmm. Because there's nothing worse than having a belly full of anything and then you're doing some really strenuous, intense activity. But as you were saying that, I was wondering, is there a benefit to possibly doing this in the middle of the day when, I know a lot of folks, there comes a certain point in the afternoon where there's a lot of sluggishness, your energy dips, you're not as mentally acute, your focus is a little bit shifty. Would stopping to do a rest and digest in that nervous system sense rather than physical digest, although you could be simultaneously doing those things depending on time of the day, would it be beneficial for that as well as compared to doing it in the morning or even in the evening?
Yeah, thanks for asking that. I'm glad that you did because it's actually a wonderful time to practice breath work or some gentle movement in the middle of the day. So many of us experience the slump in the middle of the day, in the afternoon. I mean, maybe it's time for a nap. I don't know, but a little short nap with this. But the trying short breath work or some gentle movement of your choice in the middle of the afternoon can really do wonders for resetting your nervous system and recharging your battery.
Mm.
So yes, the rest and digest state. So it's getting you. Maybe you're not coming from a busy, stressed place. You're just really tired. If you activate diaphragmatic breathing, if you do practice some conscious breathing when you're inhaling, extending your belly and exhaling slowly. So slow, conscious breath work can really, again, activate that gut brain access and help you get back into focus and just kind of open up those channels and get you into a re-energized state, just kind of cleaning that slate. Again, oxygenating your tissues and bringing nutrients to your tissues. So you're bringing blood flow throughout the rest of your body as well. So when you pair that with some gentle movement, and again, this could be sitting in your chair. Maybe you do a what's called cat cow in yoga. Sometimes it's done on all fours and you round your back and then inhale, exhale. You can do this while you're seated. You don't need a yoga mat. You don't need to be on all fours. If you're sitting in your chair, just with your hands resting on your legs, and you just inhale as you bring your chest forward, exhale, round back. Inhale, maybe you just gently look up to the ceiling, and exhale, bring your chin to your chest. It doesn't have to be you actually don't want to like super extend your neck, but just gently like looking up, just so you're getting nice elongation in that spine, opening up your channels and inhaling and exhaling consciously as you're moving forward and back can really do wonders just for a minute or two. That can do so much to give you that nice afternoon energy break during the day. And it doesn't take much time or any equipment or even moving from your chair if you're not able to do that.
Oh my gosh, that sounds wonderful. I am definitely going to be trying that the next time at my desk for a few hours. I love doing cat cow, mostly in the mornings. It's one of the ways that I kind of wake my body up when I'm feeling like I don't quite want to get out of the bed. Once I'm out, I'm like, okay, well, let's just stretch for a minute or two. I don't have an established practice at this moment, but knowing that you can do it in your chair, I never would have had that thought. So it's great to see that you can apply these practices in all types of settings. And even on the note of mobility, and I think maybe some of us may know a bit better what mobility is than others. So I would love to ask, like, what is the difference between conscious exercise and conscious movement, and how might that distinction matter for long-term mobility?
Yeah. So we talked about this briefly. Just, exercise often comes with sort of like a prescription or a routine when we think of exercise anyway. It doesn't have to, but it can, if we're strength training in the gym and we want to reach a certain weight level, or if we want to optimize our muscle mass, these are great things. But we go with a goal and we go to the gym, and it's, there's definitely breathing involved, but it's often constricting, and um, it's activating more of the stress side of our nervous system versus like the rest and digest. Same thing with aerobic activity or CrossFit. Any of these exercises, they're wonderful because they incorporate strength, they can incorporate balance, and obviously cardiovascular health, so important for endurance. Um, Definitely can complement what we're talking about here today, but it's very different. The conscious movement or the intentional movement with conscious breath work is just that. It's more intentional, it's slower. You're activating a very conscious, slow breath. Um, you're going more inward. So it's really about tuning in to your body and your needs and what your body's telling you. It can have huge anti-inflammatory effects and body awareness, and can also facilitate with balance. So, and the circulation in a different way. So it's really important to consider maybe both of them if you're able, and just to be conscious of when, the conscious movement it doesn't have to be planned. I mentioned sighing in the middle of the day. That can be another great way to activate your afternoon slump. But it could be, while you're washing dishes or cleaning up the house, just bringing awareness to your breath and to your body in and of itself is such a powerful and empowering thing to do, because it helps you to, we're so triggered by the external world all the time, but when we're able to focus inward in that space, in that silence, in that breath, not only are we getting all those physiological benefits, but we're also getting that inner awareness and tapping into our intuition and able to tap into our body's needs a little bit better. And this might result in, uh, you know, making better food choices later in the day, or being more aware the way that we move our body and what is really painful and what is just pushing us a little bit out of our comfort zone but might be good for us. So you kind of get into the fine tuning aspects of how you relate to your body. And that's just one of the many benefits of conscious movement along with breath work versus having that exercise regimen that we're going to the gym or getting outside and we have a set goal every time. And again, there's huge benefits to that. And we know that there are massive health benefits that come with that, but incorporating the two can be very beneficial.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like it. And it sounds like a good way to unwind from some of that, as you mentioned earlier, that constriction that exercise may bring, right? Whereas this conscious movement, it sounds like it's much more relaxing, much more freeing. You have a lot more flow and ability to move, however that is, with the examples that you gave of no matter where you are, there's little things you can do with the sighing, the cat and the cow in the
Yeah,
chair.
exactly. And I was going to mention just like one thing, like just a mindset thing, like a perspective around exercise routines versus conscious movement. Exercise routines can often feel like it's about doing more, reaching a new goal, doing the thing. So it's that mindset of like doing more. Whereas conscious movement is more about moving better, moving
Mm.
comfortably, and just moving better. It's a more gentle approach. So I think with that gentle approach, and leading with that mindset is so important because we want to protect our bodies as well. We want to move in a way that feels good and that is um, helping us extend beyond maybe our limits a little bit so that we're getting the benefits of stretching and movement and the mobility and the circulation, but we don't want to push too hard. So it's just about moving better and being gentle on ourselves. But again, they can both have benefits.
Yeah, and that helps to attune to that body awareness of when you're right in that uncomfortable zone that is beneficial versus a zone that may be actually too much of a load on your body.
Yeah, exactly.
Wonderful. Well, I'd actually love to ask, because of your rich background in plant-based nutrition, how does food and movement work together to support healthy blood flow and brain function?
Sure. Yeah. So the two are very powerful tools that work synergistically together to enhance circulation, to benefit the entire body, reduce inflammation, for healing benefits. When you do strenuous exercise, we need that circulation and all those nutrients to be delivered to the tissues for healing. So that's so important. And we need to eat the right foods to support that movement and to support both any exercise that we're doing, strength training, as well as this conscious movement. Because when you think about it, when we're increasing the circulation, we're delivering more oxygen and more nutrients to the cells. Like, what are we delivering to the cells? It's a time for the cells to really, they're metabolically active, and it can be a time for us to also get rid of the waste out of our cells. So refueling from a cellular level is so important as we are promoting more circulation throughout the body. So what foods are most beneficial when it comes to circulation and refueling and healing? So many plant-based foods, as we know, like nitrate-rich vegetables, like leafy greens. We cannot get enough leafy greens here at Food Revolution Network. Like, fill your plate with lots of leafy greens. They're wonderful sources of nitrates, as well as other many essential vitamins and minerals, and fiber, and so many antioxidants. So really important to have all of those things flowing through our circulation to nourish our cells as we move. Other foods that are high in nitrates, like beets and celery. And again, also, I didn't mention supporting our brain health. So it's so important. This movement helps to support that gut brain connection. And then we want to increase all those high fiber foods, or eat those high fiber foods to also support the gut. So the two together are so important in fueling just not the whole body, but also brain health. Other foods that help to heal as we increase our circulation: flavonoid rich foods. So things like berries, we know, are super powered with phytochemicals called anthocyanins that are very anti-inflammatory and so good for gut health. They're actually fuel for the gut as well. Dark chocolate, green tea. So filling our plates up with these colorful, we always talk about variety here as well. So a variety of colorful plant-based foods is so important. Omega-3s help to support the vascular walls and cell membranes. So omega-3s are really important as well. Flax seeds, walnuts, chia seeds, really important to add those to our plates whenever we can. And then also whole grains, legumes, just getting a variety of grains and legumes not only support gut health from a fiber perspective, but also they're really rich in B vitamins and carbohydrates, which are very important for brain health. So making sure that we fuel our bodies with the right nutrition as we are moving to support that movement and circulation is so important to get the maximal benefits that we want to get from the circulatory movement.
And how does hydration play a role in this as well? Is there a certain amount of water we should be drinking per day to make sure that our circulatory system and our nervous system is functioning well?
Yeah, thanks for raising that. So important. Absolutely. And something else that we haven't talked about we haven't mentioned yet, actually, is like the lymphatic drainage as well. So circulation and lymphatic drainage. So circulation, we can control a little bit more because when we're moving, our muscles are pumping blood throughout our body. Our heart muscle pumps blood throughout our body. So circulation can occur through this like pumping system. Lymphatic drainage is a little bit different. We've got lymph nodes all over our body, and in order to help the lymphatic fluid move through, hydration is extremely important, as well as the movement that we've been talking about. But hydration is really important as well. So we want to facilitate that through movement and through adequate, of course, the foods that we just talked about as well, because they're so detoxifying and helpful for our immune system, which is what our lymph nodes are. That's our primary role. And then hydration. So as far as the amount, there you'll see varying amounts, and it's really, I think it's again good to listen to your body's own cues, but a couple of guidelines for anyone who's like into numbers, like I just need to know the exact amount I need to drink every day. It's always individualized, right? Everything, all of our recommendations are, this is the general guideline, but listen to your own body. But some recommendations are divide your body weight in pounds in half, and that's the amount of ounces, at least a gauge that you want to consider drinking throughout the day. So if you're 150 pounds and you're divide your weight by half, it's 75 ounces a day. So what is that, like 8-ounce glasses of water, a little over 8-ounce glasses of water a day. Other recommendations are for women, 11 to 12 cups a day, for men, 13 to 14 cups a day. Again, listening to your own body along with those recommendations, like considering those recommendations, but also listening to your own body's needs. So looking at your urine color. Is it clear? If it's clear, you're probably hydrating pretty well, but if it's yellow or brown yellow, definitely you're dehydrated. So considering that, considering your fluid, if you're retaining fluid, you may need a little bit more hydration. Sunken eyes, foggy brain, like these can be symptoms of other things as well, of course, but just noting the symptoms of dehydration, poor sleep. So it's really important to hydrate throughout the day. Take your refillable water bottle, stainless steel or whatever you have, take it with you. There's so many cute water bottles on the market now, like we can just they're incentive to keep refilling them and carry them with us. But hydrate throughout the day is really important to keep the circulation and all the nutrients moving through and that lymphatic fluid drain.
Yeah, thank you for explaining that. And as you were talking, I was just thinking through about kind of the consequences of when we're not adequately hydrated, right? Especially in that terms of contract and release and wanting to really upregulate that flow to make it as functional as possible when we don't have enough hydration, how that can very much impede on some of the practices, whether it's mobility, stability, or strength that we want to do and we want to build upon for health and optimization. And I love the idea of getting a fun water bottle. You can add some of those berries that you mentioned to flavor it. So if there are any of you watching who are in the camp of water is not your favorite in terms of it just doesn't have the taste, it's not exciting. If you're not moving your body very regularly at the moment, you're probably consciously not thinking about drinking enough water. So putting some of those um, flow and functional foods that you just mentioned into that water could be a really helpful way for making sure that we all stay hydrated.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned hydration like as a supportive mechanism for what we're trying to accomplish here through the movement. It's so important. So if you feel sluggish, whether it's physically or in your mood, energetically speaking, a lot of times fatigue is one of those first symptoms that we notice when we're not getting adequate water or adequate fluids. So just again, taking note, and we will need adequate hydration to support any kind of physical movement and to fight that fatigue that we're feeling. So yeah, brain fog and mood can definitely be some triggers. That's like the first thing I think of when I'm like, why am I irritable or moody right now? Have I had enough water today? So it's like the first thought, and it's just so important to support everything we want to do in life.
Yeah, big part of our wellness check. Did we have
Yeah,
water? Have we taken a
yeah,
few deep breaths? Couldn't agree
exactly.
more. Well, so in your work, how have you seen yoga and bodywork practices support emotional resilience and stress recovery in daily life? I know you touched just a bit about stress. So if you're able to share a bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as I mentioned, food is such a big foundation for kind of carving up that path to wellness and starting your day from a grounded state. So eating well, moving well, managing stress well. One of the biggest things that I notice when folks start incorporating just small changes. First of all, I just want to mention, there's all of these things, but just tiny, tiny micro shifts and changes or additions to your diet or to your conscious breathing practice can make a huge impact. So it's not about, again, having like a set hour during the day where we go to the gym and need to carve out all this time and space. It could be very tiny. It could be that sigh that you start incorporating in your day. It could be just adding some more leafy greens to your plate without changing anything else. So small micro shifts can really help so many areas of your life. And some of the things that I notice most often when folks start to incorporate these just tiny micro lifestyle shifts, the number one thing I hear people say, I'm sleeping better. I slept like a baby. I slept so well. Last night was the first night that I slept so good. Like just all of these things. And we know that sleep is another huge foundation to overall wellness and health. It affects the way we think the next day. It affects our focus, our concentration, our memory. So many areas of our cognition are so important. Sleep is so important for that. It affects how we're going to move. So our topic of conversation, circulation, our walk is going to not feel so great if we haven't gotten a whole lot of sleep or any kind of movement. We may not be as present if we're not getting enough sleep. So sleep is such a huge component in all of this. So if little micro movements can help with good sleep, that is a huge win, to celebrate those wins. And the other thing is, this is so important, is in the way we show up in the world. So we might think of, we started this conversation with yoga and being on the mat. And, simply stepping on the mat for some can be a step to like, I feel grounded because I'm on the mat and I'm present and I'm going to take a deep breath on the mat and that's it. But it doesn't just stay there on the mat. It you carry it with you in your day-to-day activities. So I would say like the second biggest benefit that I see from this work, from conscious movement, when you're incorporating slow movement, intentional movement with some conscious breath, is the way you show up in the world. So we're always going to have life stressors. Everything is, all of the same things that are happening now are going to happen. I mean, maybe not the same things, but we all face life challenges. We're all going to get super busy at times and times where we slow down. But like, how do we show up in the moments where we're super busy or where we're facing that same stressor that we faced yesterday? How are we showing up in a way that is different when we're incorporating these practices? And I think that's the biggest benefit I hear from people, other than sleep, is like I felt like I wasn't in reaction mode. I came from a more of a response and a grounded state, or I was calmer during the situation. It's very subtle sometimes, but I think the consistency of doing these practices over time, again, it doesn't have to be long and elaborate. It shouldn't even be intense. These gentle movements, this gentle breathing, this conscious awareness can help us through life and deal with life stressors. It helps to build resiliency. It helps us to adapt to stressors. So you mentioned the vagus nerve. We talked about the vagus nerve earlier. The vagus nerves has something called like a vagal tone. The vagal tone is similar to when we do, say, for example, do strength training and we're lifting weights. And at some point, those weights might become not that heavy for us. That's the goal. We want to increase our weights. We're increasing our muscles' adaptation to that weight, and we can increase the weight. So we increase our resistance. It benefits the muscle. It benefits our bone health, our physical health, our mental health. Same thing with the vagus nerve. The more that we do these practices, the conscious breathing day after day, and and start to bring awareness around our breath and engaging the parasympathetic nervous system in that rest and digest response, we increase the vagal tone. And it's kind of like exercising a muscle. You build resiliency, you build that adaptation. So it's like an adaptogen. You build that adaptation to stress, and we deal with it in a different way. So we show up in to the world as a different person. The same things are happening around us, but we're not reacting in the same way that we did before when maybe we were in that flight or fight mode. So it just takes you to a different level with just really tiny micro practices. It doesn't have to be elaborate. And what this does, it's just a cascade effect. It can strengthen your relationships. It can strengthen your relationship with yourself and with others and your loved ones. And again, it can help with cognition. Physiologically, it helps because it's benefiting cardiovascular health, it's lowering your blood pressure. There's so many benefits to all of it. Long answer to your question and how I see it in clients, so many ways, just by really small shifts.
Yeah, I love that. And the idea of a small shift is manageable, right? It isn't something that you have to overhaul your whole lifestyle as is, whether that's if you're having dietary challenges, physical challenges, maybe you're not as mobile as you'd like to be because of injuries or just where you're at a certain part of your life. Having that tiny little shift in your day can have compounding effects over time. And even the note
Yeah.
on improving that relationship to self. Like, of course, we love our family, our friends, our fur babies, all of the people that nurture our lives, but having to take care of self first is first and foremost in order for you to really enjoy those compounding effects. And I would love if we could actually take a small shift here and do a short breathwork practice to help us reset and reconnect if you're open to it.
Yes, I would love to share just something simple you can do at home, at the office, anytime during the day, in the car. If you're in traffic, that's a great, obviously, keep your eyes open if you're in the car. But we're going to start this today with just eyes closed. You can also just find like one point on your floor or just like a relaxed gaze down. So just come into your body from wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Just take a notice without any judgment and just notice your breath before we start any practice at all. Just notice where your breath is. Maybe do a little body scan from your head down to your feet and notice any areas that maybe feel warm, maybe tight, a little tingly. Just bring awareness to these areas and without any judgment at all, just as an observer, maybe say hi to them. And then slowly we're going to start inhaling through our nose. You can keep your lips closed for this one. So do a little inhale and then exhale, just noticing your breath. And inhale again and exhale. One more inhale and then exhale, we're going to sigh it out. So take a nice deep breath in, filling up your belly with all that good air. And then exhale, let out a sigh. As you exhale, you feel your belly come back into your spine. We're engaging our parasympathetic nervous system now. And then we're going to inhale again and consciously bring that air back to your throat. So almost make a little sound, like an ocean sound, like an ocean wave. Exhale with that sound again. Again, inhaling with that little ocean sound. up your belly and exhale. Now we're going to move this into a little count. So inhale for 3, 2, 3. Hold it for just 2 seconds. And exhale for 3. And hold for 2 seconds. Again, inhale for 3, 2, 1. And hold it for 2 seconds. And exhale it for 3, 2, 1. And hold. And do one more on your own. Hold and exhale. Hold. And then gently just open your eyes and notice how your body feels. You can do this with eyes closed too. If you choose to do this on your own, it's kind of nice to keep your eyes closed after you do a little breath work, and notice any shifts in your body from the beginning before we started. So if you notice any warmth or tingling or any areas of pain, you can bring the breath to that area, envision the breath going to that area, and then maybe take note after you practice and see how you feel. Notice if it's any different. Again, without judgment, be gentle on yourself and just notice as an observer what's happening in your body. And this will just help you to gain more body awareness. And the sound, when you incorporate sound with the breath, that just like a could be a gentle sound to yourself, that ocean sound, pulling the breath in the back of your throat. You can hum. That can really amplify the effects of breath work and the circulatory benefits. So increasing circulation further, engaging your vagus nerve, so increasing that vagal tone, enhancing the cognitive benefits. So really it's just a compounding effect when you breathe. You're conscious and you incorporate a little sound like we naturally want to do when we take a deep sigh. You can really see the benefits. And again, that can take you off of the space and lead out into the world. Better food choices, better memory, deeper connections, so many benefits.
Yes, and I'm already feeling them after going through that with you. And I must say, you have such a calming voice that really helps to move through that practice. When I opened my eyes, I just felt so much tension lift. And I know that of myself. I carry a lot of tension up here in this part of my body. And after that last exhale and the gentle calling back to being present, I feel like I'm in a completely different space. I almost forgot where I was for a second.
Need to bring it back, Rosie. Come on back, Rosie.
Yes.
That's great. That is that's the benefit of it. And it didn't take very much time.
So this is
you do this
very
anywhere.
easy and doable to do, even if it's just for a few minutes.
And there's so many variations of breath work when you practice any kind of the diaphragmatic breathing, filling up your belly with air and exhaling. You get all those circulatory benefits, all the benefits we've been talking about. But there's so many ways you can breathe. So we just did a little counting. You don't have to count. Once you get into a rhythm, you might want to take your mind out of it and not count at all and just focus on the beautiful sound that your breath is making and the inhale and the exhale. It doesn't have to be a set number. It's just kind of like a basic framework to get you started. And then if you feel you'd like to leave that behind, the counting part, and just be in the zone, go for that. But you can do the breath hold if you feel comfortable with it. You don't have to hold your breath. The biggest thing is just doing that, being conscious and filling up your belly with the inhale and then releasing on the exhale. You're going to see the benefit of that.
I'll definitely be adding this to my practice. Thank you for leading that, Nichole.
My pleasure.
I mean, I know we're coming up to our last few minutes together, so I did want to give some space for answering member questions. Our first one is from Diane D. She said, I really enjoyed yoga when I was young. Then I got rheumatoid arthritis, and yoga seemed out of reach for me. I can only bend my knee so far without injury. Besides chair yoga, how can I get yoga and flexibility back into my life?
Thanks, Diane. Well, it's beautiful that you want to reconnect with yoga. So thank you for asking the question. And it can be so beneficial. And as we've been sharing here, it doesn't have to be a structured routine. If you want a structured routine that may work for you, something like yin yoga or restorative yin, you hold postures for a longer period of time than, say, maybe 30 seconds. Yin yoga, you hold them up to 5 minutes, and that can really get deep into the fascia and help to release things on a very micro level, but impactful level. So subtle shifts in your body can really open up that space to increase circulation, to bring that nutrient flow, to help you move more freely and without pain. So yin yoga or restorative yoga can both be restorative, even though sometimes we think of yoga as like a flow practice, or we see so many places now are doing the power yoga, and they can have their benefits for sure, but restorative yoga can be immensely beneficial in all the ways that we've been talking about today, because it's more gentle on your nervous system. So it can incorporate exactly what we were talking about today, is some gentle movement along with conscious breath work. So restorative yoga can absolutely be something benefit that you might want to try, Diane. If you want more of a routine like yin or restorative, or water-based yoga could be another great modality to practice, because you're taking the weight off of your joints. But again, if the structured routine is something that you don't want to do, you can just focus on gentle movement. So again, in your chair and raising, you talked about chair yoga, you're already doing it, but incorporating that breath work as you're raising your arms over your head and exhaling, just as an example, you can do wrist rolls and ankle movements. You can do we mentioned cat cow posture, so either on all fours or in your chair, and just incorporating some different movements to engage both your diaphragmatic breathing, and the movement can be mutually beneficial, and on top of the foods that you're putting in your body can have really big benefits. And then the last thing is, you could maybe consider working with a yoga therapist who specializes in gentle movement to help with rheumatoid arthritis, and just gentle movements to facilitate that circulation can maybe be beneficial.
So many wonderful things for her to try. Thank you for answering that one, Nichole.
Sure thing.
And we have
Good luck,
another one
Diane.
from Denise R. She said, I started my journey in plant-based eating several months ago and quickly developed serious edema. I just have been diagnosed with lymphedema, to which there is no cure. Yoga has been recommended along with other low-impact exercises. Much of my yoga is very painful and frustrating due to stiff joints and limbs full of fluid. Can you recommend any easier approaches to yoga and specific foods that help the lymphatic system drain fluid?
Mm, thanks, Denise. I'm sorry to hear about the challenges that you've been going through. It definitely sounds like it's been a challenging journey for you, and um, it's wonderful that you're exploring ways that you can move your body that can facilitate with what you're going through, and you definitely can. There are certainly things within your control that can be very empowering to move in the right direction to help to deal with what you're going through. So we mentioned some of the lymphatic benefits of movement. And again, gentle movement, it doesn't have to be strenuous. In fact, you don't want it to be strenuous. You want it to be soft and gentle, but enough to move fluid through. Again, Rosie mentioned hydration earlier. That will be important to making sure you're staying hydrated as you move. But something simple like, if you're able, of course, always discuss any of these things with your healthcare provider to make sure it's not contraindicated with anything you're going through. But legs up the wall pose, so just lying on your back and using the wall as your support to help to drain um, from the legs down, because we're always on our feet and or standing upright. So kind of reversing that will help getting that lymphatic fluid moving. Other supine or like seated poses that we were talking about today, just gently moving your spine back and forth. You can, lean over to one side and lean over to the other. So kind of like, and you're going to be activating lymph nodes in your neck and under your arm. So like raising your arm over your head. You can try lymphatic massage, just gentle massage on yourself to get things moving. So some of that manual movement can be it doesn't feel like a lot, but it can be very beneficial. It's just gentle movement can do wonders to drain some of that lymph fluid. Anti-inflammatory foods, we touched on these some, but things like, again, your leafy greens and turmeric and ginger, which have the antioxidants, which are anti-inflammatory, and those healing benefits that help with any kind of pain. Omega-3s are also very anti-inflammatory. So again, your walnuts and chia seeds and flax meal, so important. And then, of course, like limiting highly processed, like ultra processed refined foods. So refined grains, limiting refined sugar, because that can definitely contribute to joint pain. And also these things can disrupt gut health. So all of these things are so interconnected. What we eat can affect so much from our circulation and how we heal or how we don't heal, depending on what we're eating. So limiting those ultra processed foods and sticking with whole plant-based foods and staying hydrated is going to be really important.
Thank you, Nichole. And I love that you mentioned lymphatic massage. I think that that's something we often don't think about and how helpful that is for everyone, whether you have circulation challenges or not, since the lymph system itself doesn't move on its own. You actually have to do the work for it to help get a lot of that fluid around your body, to make sure that those lymph nodes are functioning properly. So doing just a few minutes of that a day in various areas of your body can be so impactful. So I hope that helps Denise if she decides to give it a try.
Yeah, thanks.
And we have time for one more.
Yeah, I was going to mention one quick thing, Rosie, just to Denise and in general, what you were mentioning. And thanks, Denise, again for the question. But sometimes we can be with conditions where those lymph nodes are, acting up, and it can be painful. It kind of discourages us from movement, but it's so important to move during those times. And but again, just stressing that it doesn't have to be pain. It shouldn't be painful movement. It should be just gentle movement, just to kind of ease some of that discomfort. So just back to what you mentioned, doing what feels comfortable for us and what's accessible in that moment will really go a long way when it comes to that manual massage or intentional movement and breath work.
Couldn't agree more. Thank you, Nichole. Then from Suzanne L., do you have any suggestions on enhancing mobility and circulation during chemotherapy for head and neck cancer?
Yeah, Suzanne, you are showing up with such strength and wisdom to consider gentle movement for head and neck cancer. And yes, I'm sending so many healing thoughts your way as you move into any of these practices. So gentle walking, again, just a short walk after you eat or in the morning or whatever it feels good to you, engages, your largest muscle group. So you're getting that circulation moving everywhere throughout your body. So some walking just to get the circulation flowing. Some, again, gentle, I think that's our key word of the conversation is our gentle approach, both from the mindset and from the physical perspective. So gentle neck and shoulder mobility exercises. So it could be something as simple as shoulder shrugs, just a little bit of shoulder shrugging, and maybe you facilitate a little bit of neck movement with your hands, very gently. I'm not pulling hard right now to either side. Maybe you look right or left, just to get, again, that circulation moving, the blood flow going, to dilate your blood vessels and to hopefully bring some of those healing nutrients that you're getting from the foods that you're eating to those areas to help you feel more comfortable. And then like simple, again, I mentioned this earlier, simple wrist rolls, ankle rolls, all of your, everything is so interconnected. So once you get that circulation moving, it can travel throughout your entire body. So it's helping you physically deliver nutrients all over, but it's also helping you mentally. So not just focusing on those areas, which is important, but also throughout for your whole body, just to get everything moving, because it can really help with the emotional component. And that's, another thing that we're doing here is building emotional resilience. So all of the movement and breath work we've been talking about here today can not only help with physical resilience and our resilience to stress, but also emotional. So hopefully that helps you just through your journey as you move through this time, Suzanne.
We're sending all the best to you and to Denise and to Diane. Thank you all so much for asking these questions. And thank you, Nichole. This has been such a wonderful conversation. I personally have gained a lot of insights, and I hope the same is true for any of those of you who are watching, that you invite more flow and function into your day-to-day practices. And thank you again for being here today and sharing all your wisdom with us. This was such an incredible time together.
Thank you, Rosie. And thanks to everybody for tuning in and for your wonderful questions, Suzanne, Denise, and Diane. Wishing you all the best. And to everybody at Whole Life Club, thanks for having me today.
Bye, everybody.
When it comes to cancer, Alzheimer's, diabetes, heart disease, and other chronic illness, what really matters isn't how many books you read, how many webinars you attend, or how much you know. What really matters at the end of the day is what you eat and how you live. The science has given us what we need to know. Now it's time for action. It's time to implement and optimize your healthy lifestyle. It's time to get results. It's time to say goodbye to confusion and hello to clarity. It's time to say goodbye to bad habits and hello to good ones. It's time to fall in love with foods that love you back. It's time to join a community that will support you in achieving your goals. It's time for Whole Life Club.